Okay, gotta do this in one take. And action. Okay, so of course Nintendo would go and announce a direct today, right when everyone thought that the direct wasn't gonna happen. Of course, then again, there were people who still held on to hope, but well, yeah. I mean, nothing against the idea of a direct, but still, I mean, made a lot of people think that there wasn't going to be one, only to turn around and announce one for tomorrow. Yeah. Of course, at this hour, there's no time to render any videos on the matter. It's way too late for that. And of course, I did dust off a few ideas for what I thought could happen at the direct back before, or it seemed as though all the nails were in the coffin for the June Nintendo Direct. Yeah. So, of course, I'll be doing this in one take, hopefully, simply because of the fact that I am unable to get this rendered in time. But I don't think that'll be much of a problem, I hope. Just stand here with Link wearing a shirt that doesn't exist in Tears of the Kingdom. Of course, not that it matters. This obviously is Breath of the Wild, not Tears of the Kingdom. Yeah. No need for trying to make it clear there, though. I mean, the embargo lifted a while back. The game's been out for over a month. But, yeah, I'm getting way off track. Although I'm not so sure about that sound. Is that clanking sound supposed to be part of the soundtrack? Or am I just standing too close to something? Yeah, I think it's part of the percussion, so never mind. Yeah, I'm wasting time. Just want to look over this village and discuss the direct. Yeah. Of course, it is worth noting that someone said that the direct had said that they heard from someone who, of course, denied having such information, that the direct would be on June 21st because of a 6/21. At the time, I took it as a 6.21% chance of a direct. But, lo and behold, we have an actual direct. Not even, I honestly thought that for a while that we might end up with nothing more that we might not even have a partner showcase, but here it is, a on 40-minute Nintendo Direct. Of course, I don't expect anything too big for this Direct. Well, of course, there are a few ideas that came to mind, but for the most part, I assume it's just going to be a few smaller projects that didn't get released earlier on. A few remaining projects that are being finished up before whatever is next is released and revealed. Yeah. But enough of that. Time to bring up the chart of what I suspect is next. Let's see, which key was it? Of course, everyone knows, because of Nintendo outright saying it, that Pikmin 4 will be at the Direct. I mean, as for what we'll get other than just an overview, I mean, who knows? We could get it's a gameplay segment, or we could get, well, who knows what? Story details, map layouts, new enemies, who knows? Of course, the only other title all to be recently announced is of course Everybody Want to Switch, which was announced casually at the beginning of the month. So there's a high likelihood we could see information on Want to Switch. I mean, Everybody Want to Switch at this event. I mean, who knows? It could be a surprise hit. I mean, it seems like this version of this entry in the series could be Nintendo's answer to Jackbox. Of course, there's also a few third-party titles that have been previously announced to be coming to Nintendo Switch that we could see more information on. Those being, let's see. I mean, we recently got trailers and the details for Sonic Superstars, I think is the name. Persona 5 Tactica. The Apollo Justice Ace Attorney trilogy, which I guessed correctly as that it would be not only called that, but also feature, the original regular DS game of the same name, minus the word trilogy, of course, but also Dual Destinies and Spirit of Justice from the 3DS. Meaning all that's left is versus Professor Layton and the Miles Edgeworth Ace Attorney investigations. Of course, speaking of Capcom, Ghost Trick Phantom Detective is coming out soon, so there probably will be a trailer for that too. Of course, speaking of Professor Layton in the New World of Steam will probably have a trailer there. Of course, we could also see information on the Dragon Quest III remaster. Or not really remaster, but remake. It's not a remaster. They're rebuilding it using the new Octopath engine. So there's a high likelihood that we could see that. But one thing that I put at the bottom of the list is Detective Pikachu 2. Simply because, well, there's been pretty much just radio silence for years. It's unclear if that game is still on the way. But I say that if it is, it'll probably be announced soon. Or, I mean, we'll probably get a teaser trailer or something for it soon. I mean, it's been on the back burner for how long? I mean, if it's been on the back burner for that long, it's probably almost done by now. Probably content complete. Of course, there is one title which I did not put on this list. That being Metroid Prime 4. I don't think Metroid Prime 4 is going to happen this year. We might see some trailers, but I still say 4 and 24 is the way they're gonna go. But enough of that. Now on to DLC. Because there's plenty of expansions that have been announced that could be there. Of course, at the top of the list, I put Mario Kart 8 Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass Wave 5. Because Nintendo did tease an announcement concerning that a couple weeks ago. And of course, fingers crossed for both Diddy Kong and PD Piranha. Of course, I think that Kamek could finally arrive as well, but I'm not so sure about this time around. They might save him for last. Of course, next in line, Splatoon 3 Expansion Pass Side Order. In Side Order is, of course, well, that could hold up, I mean, that could hold up the tent of the Nintendo Switch on its own. If Octo Expansion from Splatoon 2 is anything to go by. So that would probably be something big for tomorrow's Direct. I mean, the Scarlet and Violet, Hidden Treasure of Area Zero, we might see a trailer for, or the first half of tomorrow. Seems quite likely. And of course, Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope. Sure, we've seen teasers for both halves, not halves, both of the remaining 2/3 at the recent Ubisoft Direct. But I highly doubt that they're going to pass on an opportunity to go into more detail as to at least one of these. I mean, the last Spark Hunter, that's coming up, isn't it? So of course they're going to have to reveal more information about that soon. Plus, there was a leaked image with Rabbid King Babam. Oh, probably shouldn't have spoiled that, but no matter. I mean, at the rate things are going, you probably won't see this until after the Direct. Though I plan to upload the raw footage before that. Anyway. Of course, the Rayman expansion, I don't know. I mean, might happen, or they could save it for September. Anyway, moving on. Amiibo. means are there are a decent number of amiibo that they could announce as well. Starting with the previously announced amiibo of Noah and Mio. I don't know how you pronounce it. I haven't seen enough of the game. I mean, enough of Xenoblade Chronicles 3 to know how to pronounce their names. But seeing as those were previously announced, it seems reasonable to assume that we might see a picture of them. Next in line, it was previously leaked through data mines that there are amiibo gliders for both Zelda and Ganondorf from Tears of the Kingdom. With it being such a success, I mean, Tears of the Kingdom, of course, it would be, and of course they're going to capitalize on it. I mean, we could see, admittedly, an expansion pass is possible as well, but then again, it could be too soon. So, Amiibo, given the available evidence, is a safe bet. Of course, next in line, the one that people are still questioning if is even going to happen in the Super Smash Bros. Series Sora amiibo. Sora is the only amiibo remaining not to be officially announced. I mean, everyone else, save for Pyra and Mythra, have already been released. And Pyra and Mythra we already have images of, and pre-orders have sold out. Meaning, unfortunately, I may not get them. Not for a long time, at least. But of course, there's one more amiibo that I suspect could happen. Oatchi from Pikmin 4. This being the alien dog. I mean, I know not exactly what their plans for Pikmin 4 are at this direct, but if there's amiibo support, it stands to reason that we'll get an amiibo of this new character. Along with, of course, a reissue of the amiibo of the Pikmin themselves, and the amiibo of Olimar from Smash. Okay, so next in line would be Nintendo Switch Online. I had previously thought that they would hold off announcing base tier titles for June until after the Direct. But that doesn't mean that we won't still get the announcement of a special game for the system, for the service. Only this time it would be for July instead. Because they already did a base airwave for Nintendo Switch Online. They already announced the expansion pass tier item for this month, that being Fire Emblem, which I was right in assuming that both Fire Emblem games would be released on the same day in Japan, but that's beside the point. So anyway, of course, The ones I think are most likely are the mysterious Murasame Castle from the Famicom Disk System. I mean, it was released in the United States on the 3DS, but so far, that's the only time we've ever gotten it in any official capacity. And with this year being the 40th anniversary of the Famicom, why not release something from the Famicom? Means something big, I mean. Of course, my next potential possibility, well, it's a two-fold item, a two-part item. The first item being Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light getting added to Nintendo Switch Online in the United States and Europe. Oh, yeah, I should probably say that the Serious Murasame Castle would also be released in Europe, but you already assumed that, I assume. But anyway. They probably had it delisted from the eShop for a reason. That being so that they could, after a while, add it to Nintendo Switch Online. But here's the thing. It's already on Nintendo Switch Online in Japan. When Custom Robo was added to N64 Online, in the United States got a title that Japan never did. That being Pokemon Puzzle League. When Harvest Moon was finally added to SNES Online in the United States, Japan got Baseball Simulator 1000, which we already had over here. So, of course, I put Fire Emblem Gaiden down in the same row. On the same line. Because if it's supposed to be a celebration release, there'd be nothing to celebrate in Japan unless they had something else along the same lines to add. What better title than Gaiden? Because Gaiden and Thracia 776 are the only titles missing in pre-Binding Blade. And of course, there is one more possibility for the base tier. Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. A lot of people want this, and I still say that it's never going to be added to Nintendo Switch Online except if announced through a direct first. It's too special to be released through any other situation. Yeah. But of course, there is one more title on this chart. Harvest Moon 64. It was already announced for N64 Online in Japan last year. And it was assumed that it would be a Japan exclusive. However, seeing as Nintendo sorted out the rights issues for the US version of Harvest Moon on the SNES, it's reasonable to assume that they probably also did the same thing for 64. So therefore, 64 could be released at the same time. Over here. And though unlikely, they could actually have it dropped tomorrow. But of course, it's worth noting that only one of these three NES or SNES titles would happen if any of them are to happen. If Fire Emblem happens, Super Mario RPG won't. If Super Mario RPG won't, it won't, and it won't happen, and then Mysterious Murasame Castle can. Yeah, if that makes any sense. And so, admittedly, there could be two of these happening, but only because one of them is an N64 title, and therefore follows a different set of rules. Okay, so that's enough of that. Now on to the unconfirmed and rumored sections. Top of the list, of course, being Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1. This has been at the top of many people's lists for a long time. And with there being a collection announced for other systems, I don't see why they wouldn't also make it available for Nintendo Switch, other than it being tedious. Yeah. So, of course, a Direct is the perfect time to announce it. Of course, Crash Team Rumble is only at the top, only right below that because of a detail that was released too early before quickly being retracted. So that one's guaranteed too, simply because of that blunder. Well, not necessarily guaranteed for the Direct, but definitely guaranteed for Nintendo Switch. Next in line, Persona 3 Reload. It is odd that it wouldn't be announced at the same time as Tactica, or confirmed at the same time, I mean. So it is possible that the game's too power hungry, but on the other hand, it does run on the same engine as Persona 5 Royal, which does run on the Nintendo Switch. And the graphics don't seem too power hungry with them being stylized and all, so I don't see why not. Next in line is Chrono Trigger. I put this in the unconfirmed category rather than the rumored category, simply because I don't think it's going to be a remake. Sorry, but it's not going to. It's going to be a port of the PC version instead. I mean, that's just what makes the most sense. There was a conspicuous update, which didn't go unnoticed, of the addition of controller support in the PC version. Why would they go back and add the feature after all this time, if not for the fact there's a parity feature with the upcoming console release? Plus, Chrono Trigger is one of those crown jewels of classic Square Enix, so of course it's going to be added eventually. Next in line, NES Remix Pack from Wii U. Again, anniversary of Famicom. So admittedly, they might save this for next year, so it can be in between the anniversaries of the Famicom and the NES. But then again, this would be just a simple port job, so they could easily port it over quickly enough and easily enough, and well, not sure about quickly, but definitely easily enough. A decent and I mean, a decent expendable release for this time period. Of course, next on the list is Pushmo World, which admittedly would probably not be as easy to port. But I put it on there anyway because there have been rumors. Next, Mass Effect Legendary Edition. This, and another title which I'll get to, another title or two which I'll get to shortly, were unconfirmed through a ratings board. Or were I mean there were unconfirmed reports of it being spotted on through ratings boards. So, with Mass Effect 3 being something that was available on Wii U, I mean, it's reasonable to assume that they could easily make all 3 games run on the Nintendo Switch. And I guess it's only a matter of time before it arrives, if it's going to arrive. So, there's a chance it could happen. Next in line is Batman Arkham Collection. Arkham City also was on Wii U. However, on the other hand, this one is not so likely simply because not only might it be a bit too late for the rights holders to be willing to make it available, but it's also there's been some trouble going on at Warner Brothers lately, so so I suspect that it was in development due to the ratings board or detail, but probably isn't happening now. Then again, it could be wrong, hence why I put it on the list. Okay, so DuckTales Remastered. I mean, I think there were some licensing issues with that, but I think they've since been fixed. Or since been resolved, I mean. So, I mean, it's possible someone at WayForward may have ported over to Switch in said person's spare time, so... or said team's spare time. So, again, it's possible. Of course, now I've reached the bottom of the unconfirmed section. Borderlands 3 Director's Cut, which was also revealed through a ratings board. However, I think someone went on record saying it was a mistake. But, on the other hand, I think it's plausible, so I put it on the list. And at the bottom of the list, Star Fox Zero and Star Fox Guard. They sold terribly. But I think that they could get a new lease on life on Nintendo Switch easily enough. I mean, again, it's just a matter of mapping the... I think it's just a matter of making the controls work more like Splatoon or the composite option for Metroid Prime 1 Remastered. Could happen, but it's very unlikely, hence why it's on the bottom of the section of the list. Okay. And now, finally, on to the final part of the list. At the top of the list, of course, is Metroid Prime 2 Echoes Remastered. This makes the most sense because I think they're bringing over all 3 leading up as part of the lead up to 4 next year. 3 directs usually in a year, 3 e-releases in the trilogy. Plus see, plus I assume that the game is one that would share assets with other with both other titles in the both other titles in the trilogy and Metroid Prime 4. So it's a shoe-in. Hence why it's at the top of the list. Second on the list, Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games Paris 2024. They've been releasing a Mario sports game just about every year at this point, almost without fail. And it is that time again for the Olympics, so it only makes sense. Plus, as far as development is concerned, that's Sega's problem, not Nintendo's. So it's likely, so therefore, it's one less thing on Nintendo's plate to worry about, yet it's available. Okay, next in line, I don't know why I put this so high on the list, but Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2. On one hand, it only makes sense for it to releasing as they've been going through the back catalog of of non-canon Star Wars games. But on the other hand, I hear that there's been a shakeup at THQ Nordic. So it's possible that the game could have been shelved. Okay, so next in line, Tekken. There are no Tekken games on Nintendo Switch whatsoever. I mean, there's Tekken characters in Smash. Well, 1.5 technically, because one's a Mii costume, the other is a full-on fighter. Yeah. But I'm just saying. I put down as just Tekken for a reason. I'm honestly not sure what way they'd go about it if they were to go about it. They could do a collection. They could do arcade archives releases. Or they could just port over or Tekken Tag Tournament. In any of these three would be fine with me. In fact, I'd even go for Tekken Advance on Game Boy Advance Online next year, or the year after that. But of course, I prefer a regular Tekken game. I mean, so it's more likely that it's either going to be a collection, arcade archives releases, or a port of Tag Tournament. Okay, so next in line is, let's see, six other titles which have been rumored. First and second party titles, specifically. I'm just gonna get one thing out of the way. Just because I wrote down all of these doesn't mean all of them are gonna happen. The chances of any of these are slim. We might get one or two, but definitely not all of them. But with that out of the way, first in line, Rhythm Heaven and 4, as I'm going to call it. They'll probably have a proper subtitle instead of a 4, but I don't know what that subtitle would be, so I just put down 4. This is the perfect one to be at the top of the list, because it's just the sort of thing that would happen. An out of left field item for many people. And this is just the sort of thing that would go under the radar, while still being while still being a lower budget item that's barrels of fun. Yeah, so Rhythm Heaven 4 is of course next in line. Or of course, one of the things that would be next in line because, yeah, it's just the sort of thing that Nintendo would have cooking up slowly in the background. Of course, next in line is something which I'm honestly not so sure about, but, well, there's enough evidence to warrant it being on the list. Kid Icarus Uprising HD. I mean, this would be something that Bandai Namco and Sora Limited would be working on rather than Nintendo. I mean, Nintendo would have some input, but for the most part, it's something that they have to worry about. And I mean, I'd hate to admit it, but Sakurai was speaking in a rather suspicious manner concerning Kid Icarus Uprising. In fact, I'd even go as far as to say that if such a thing is happening, if it's going to be announced at the Direct tomorrow, Sakurai's next broadcast will say something about it. But I make no guarantees. Next in line, F-Zero AX. Not GX from the GameCube, but AX. The arcade version. They're saving a GX for GameCube Online when that arrives in a couple of years. But an Arcade Archives release, regardless of whether or not it's part of the series, that I think is more likely to happen. Of course, Donkey Kong's been awfully quiet lately, so there could be something going on with that series. Either Donkey Kong Country 6 or a new 3D game. But then again, I guess another possibility is Mario and Donkey Kong. That series has been awfully quiet lately. Of course, I have to bring it up. A new Super Mario game. Probably a 2D or a 3D world. Definitely not a big open world game like Odyssey or even something like Galaxy. They're saving that big title for the next system. I'm sure of it. But a smaller scale title such as a 2D game or a 3D world, that I see them happening. I see them doing. And of course, last in this particular part of the list, Fire Emblem Genealogy of the Holy War Remastered. Not only have there been rumors of this for quite a while, but there's also a rumor going around of a certain of there being an SNES remaster coming soon. That rumored title obviously is not on Dragon Quest III, because that was an NES game. I highly doubt it being Chrono Trigger. And Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars is more likely to be an SNES Online release. So, yeah. By process... so yeah, I looked into... And of course I looked into it, and I don't think there's any more... Or, Famicom Detective Club titles, unless I missed one. So, therefore, by process of elimination, it is most likely going to be Genealogy of the Holy War. I mean, let's face it, it is next in line. They already did a remake in the past for Shadow Dragon, which was released on DS. They did New Mystery of the Emblem, which I assume is just Mystery of the Emblem remastered. I think that was an early 3DS title. And of course, Echoes Shadows of Valentia, which is a remake of which would be a remake of Gaiden. But of course, it would only make sense that the next Fire Emblem remaster would be Genealogy of the Holy War, because that's next. Okay, then farther down the list are some other titles. Let's see. Silent Hill. I mean, sure, it seems like a lot of stuff's been going on with Silent Hill for Sony, but I don't see why they can't bring over the older versions of Silent Hill. I mean, if nothing else, there's the Wii version of the original. But of course, Silent Hill 2 and 3 HD would probably be what most people want. Of course, there are people who want the Wii title, but yeah. Could happen, but is not as likely as Metal Gear is. Next on the list, Lego Indiana Jones Collection. I mean, they could easily do this using the same engine as past remaster collections. I mean, they did the Harry Potter collection a while back, so they could just port over the two Indiana Jones games using the same engine. I mean, it's not unprecedented for them to go back and release a past Lego game. I mean, they did it for Marvel Super Heroes 1 and Jurassic World, along with the other title I mentioned. So, with the release of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, it only makes sense for Disney to capitalize on it. Of course, then again, there have been some troubles going on at Traveler's Tales and, by extension, Warner Brothers. Well, or should I? Well, technically the other way around, but yeah, could happen. But there have been troubles going on at Warner Brothers, so therefore, subsidiaries such as Traveler's Tales would not necessarily have projects coming out properly. Next in line, Marvel vs. Capcom, which could happen through, if nothing else, Arcade Archives, but then again, I think Capcom would prefer to release a compilation. Although, I put it towards the bottom of the list because not only are there the rights issues, but you'd think that if they were bringing back Marvel vs. Capcom as a collection, they would have released it on more than one platform. So therefore, why didn't they announce it at the Capcom Direct? So it's at towards the bottom of the list for that reason. Second to last being Adventure Island Anniversary Collection. Of course, I don't know if they call it that. I mean, on one hand, that it's the same naming scheme as the Castlevania and Contra collections, and also the arcade collection, the Konami arcade collections, or collection, no, only one, not plural. But anyway, but on the other hand, Metal Gear deviates from the pattern. So between that and the fact that Adventure Island is Hudson Soft rather than Konami, I'm honestly not sure if that would be what they call it. And of course, Adventure Island has been dormant for over a decade. So, unclear if it's going to show up. I mean, it might be more likely for the Adventure Island games to arrive on Nintendo Switch Online. And last on the list is Yokai Watch. My reasons for putting it at the bottom of the list is because, well, the Yokai Watch games already have been ported to Switch, but only in Japan. Why didn't they include the English translation? Otherwise, we probably would have gotten it already. But no. It doesn't appear that Yokai Watch is going to happen. Plus, I think Disney holds partial rights to the TV show, so that could complicate things further. Oh, and look at that. The end of the list. Yeah, I think that's all. So, a quick recap. The ones most likely to happen are in the titles most likely to happen that haven't already been announced are Metroid Prime 2, Echoes Remastered, Mario & Sonic at the Olympic Games, Paris 2024, and Metal Gear Solid Master Collection. I'd say those are at the top of the list, with Persona 3 Reload and some other titles being close behind. Otherwise, pretty much anything first party or second party is likely to happen, except maybe Detective Pikachu 2. And of course, Amiibo is a bit of a wild card. So, on that note, guess that's all for now. Of course, I listed many possibilities. Take my words with a grain of salt. For I know not the chances and probabilities of everything. Plus, it is also worth noting that it is highly likely that there's something that I didn't think of that's going to happen. Either a remaster of something that is completely forgotten, something I definitely wouldn't have thought of something I wouldn't have thought of in, well, not in a million in minutes. Simply because I wouldn't have heard of the original. And of course, the biggest possibility is something completely brand new. Something I wouldn't have known about because it's completely brand new and hasn't been announced. Yeah, but of course, it is quite late. And it is unlikely that anyone's going to see this before tomorrow's direct. But I'll see what I can do to get this out there as soon as possible. Yeah. Of course, one thing I really want to see is this beautiful T-shirt arrive in Tears of the Kingdom somehow. But that's probably something for the September direct. And of course, one last detail. Other than Amiibo, it is extremely unlikely that we'll see any new hardware at all. Not even a Switch Lite with an OLED screen. It's just not going to happen. Yeah. But, of course, it is quite late at night. Not that late, I mean, but still. If I don't stop the recording soon, then not only will I not be able to get this out there in time, but there'll be noise from the TV sets that will ruin the recording. Hopefully there isn't any now. But then again, I did turn up the music on the console so that hopefully the music of Kakariko Village would block out any TV noise. Yeah, but enough of that. And just wait till time to just sit back and wait for tomorrow's direct. See what's going to happen. Will I be on the right track? Or will I be completely wrong? Who knows at this point? hat.